It is the almost end of there. It is almost the end of another week, and that means we hit the beginning of another news video, and it's a lot of news fixated on AEW today, or actually, a majority of the news is fixated on AEW today. As we had another episode of Dynamite last night, so the fact that we got a lot of news on AEW is kind of fitting. So we'll get the non AEW news out of the way first and take it from there. With that being said, Killer Kelly, who fought at Rebellion for Impact Wrestling over the weekend, was actually supposed to compete at the most recent edition of Impact, the most recent Impact tapings. But due to a cyst bursting, she was unable to compete at the TV tapings against Masha Slamovich like it was originally intended, as she was dealing with the cyst. I've never had that. I hope I never have to have that. I hope I never do have that. And I wish nothing but the best to Killer Kelly in her recovery, as she did say she feels a lot better since dealing with the pain. But I can imagine that that was not fun, and it is still not fun that it happened. Either way, though, I wish her nothing but the best, and hope that she can recover fully in the not too distant future. Another bit of news is that I thought that this was an interesting bit of news because of the circumstances, but in a recent, was it Sports Illustrated? Yes, it was. In a recent Sports Illustrated article, David Finlay Jr., or David Finlay, I believe is his name now, was asked about his sleek in-ring style, and in response, David Finlay actually mentioned that he was training with Tyson Kidd and Natalia. As he mentions in the article, this is on Fightful Select. This excerpt is from Fightful Select. I watch wrestling every day. My three go-tos to watch are Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and my dad, Fit Finlay. Last year and a half, and living in Tampa, I live pretty close to WWE's Tyson Kidd and Eddie Neidhart, and I've trained with them in their ring. I've been picking kids' brain for the last year and a half. In their version of the dungeon, I grew up with a ring in my backyard, just like Natty did, and I'm in there on a regular basis, fine-tuning my skills. It's not so much training, but it feels more like Fight Club, and it's translated well for me here in Japan. I mean, I thought that was interesting because it's not every day when you hear that somebody in New Japan, especially somebody that they're grooming to become a top star, is working with WWE talent on a weekly or daily basis. But props to David Finlay for investing the time and really focusing on bettering himself and making his career more of an investment, I guess is the best way to put it, than anything else. And now we shift over to a story from James Andrew Miller, longtime journalist who specializes in media, as he spoke with SI Media, which is Sports Illustrated Media, about WWE and the media rights deal. But I didn't want to focus on that. I wanted to focus on the fact that he mentions Warner Brothers Discovery, and that on multiple occasions during the interview, he mentions the fact that he wouldn't be surprised if Warner Brothers Discovery would like a slice of the WWE pie. Yes, As Nick Khan mentioned with the media rights deals, with the media rights deal, both Fox and NBC Universal have first dibs on WWE because they're the current media rights partners. But this is what Miller stated in his article, and this quote is taken from an excerpt on Fightful. I know there are people at Warner Brothers who are interested in the WWE if they were to lose NBA. I would certainly imagine they would become a pretty big advocate of buying something that would create quite the auction, unless it's taken off by Fox or NBC. I think that it would be interesting having Warner Brothers go in on WWE with the fact that there's such a big advocate, with the fact that they're such a big advocate for AEW, that it would be kind of surprising seeing them go in for WWE as well. I understand that if they do lose the NBA, that would be the reason why they would go that route. That they would go the route of wanting to invest in something else because they lost the NBA. But if they don't lose the NBA, I can't see them going the route of wanting something like the WWE, because it's like when WWE wanted WCW to have its own separate television show. If Warner Brothers Discovery was to purchase WWE, WWE media rights, it would lead to the question of how much wrestling is too much wrestling. Because in the example in question, the USA Network did not want to become the wrestling channel, and that's why they didn't want to have WWE and WCW at the time on their chat. On, I believe it would be TNN. My apologies, TNN. So I don't know if maybe because Warner Brothers Discovery have more channels than just TNT and TBS, but it's the idea that you wouldn't move AEW, you'd move WWE. Am I wrong? But it's just a question of, would it fit together, or would you turn down AEW and move on from AEW? Because AEW, I do believe their contract is up at the end of the year. WWE's contract is not up until 2024. So WWE has a bit more time. AEW is running out of time. Either way, the last bit of news that we will get to today in this news video before we shift to the next one is Stone Cold Steve Austin basically turned down WrestleMania this year because of the fact that he was filming his new TV show, Steve Austin Takes on America, which will premiere on April 30th. And the fact of the matter is, he just didn't have the time to get physically in the proper shape to be doing a wrestling match. And he also just didn't have the scheduled time. Basically, he didn't have the free time to go and do WrestleMania, because when WrestleMania was going on was when he was filming the show and when he was wrapping up filming of the show. So there is a legitimate reason why Austin was not able to compete at WrestleMania this year. There's nothing that says he will not compete at WrestleMania next year, which is an interesting way to phrase it from Steve Austin. As him and The Rock both didn't say no, they just said not this year. Keep that in mind. With that being said, though, we got an AEW focused news video coming up in the next one, so I will see you in the next one.